It's 3 minutes to 8. Do you know where your point and click game is? What's up, everybody, and welcome to Indie Ramble. I got an interesting one for you guys today. I didn't really know what to expect from this. When I first saw it, it looked like a point and click adventure game, and it is, but it is something much more than that. And it's definitely not going to be for everybody, but I found it very cool and very different, and those are the things I like to show off to you guys here. So that's what we're gonna do. So this is 3 minutes to 8, and it's developed by a largely single-person studio. It's not just a game studio. They do various other multimedia projects, including short movies and all sorts of stuff. Very different kind of developer, I guess you could say. And well, I'm gonna show you this thing here really quick. So this is the developer's sort of manifesto about this thing. Basically, it came to him, not really in a fever dream, but it came to him in a state where he was very much on the edge of sleep, I guess you'd say. He hadn't fallen asleep yet, but was very close to it. And he got this idea in his head. And the best way I can describe this game is kind of like Cyberpunk Groundhog Day. Yeah, and it's almost like a roguelike as well. It's just a mashup of things that I've never quite seen before. So I'm going to continue my game here, but the whole thing about this game is that it's played in runs, and it's a causality loop game, which means that you are playing the same short sequence of a day over and over again. And your objective is to find different things within the day that you can do or get or obtain that will change the outcome. It has a number of different endings. There are achievements for achieving all of these different endings, and things can get really, really weird in this. It's one of these things where basically everything is not what it seems, and things can go in ways that you would never think, including some very meta fourth wall ways. Now, so I'm going to show you one thing here.
Thanks, but I have a plan already.
So one of the things that's cool about this game is it's fully voiced. So I'm just going to kind of wander around here to show you a little bit of what it looks like, what the environments are, and what some of the characters are like. So for example,
have you seen my pussycat?
I'll keep an eye open for it. Do you mind chatting while we look?
What's on your mind, dear?
So you're seeing here very much early on here that this is very much a point and click style game. You're going to walk around, you're going to talk to people, you have an inventory, you're going to take things in the environment, you're going to manipulate things in the environment, and well, in proper point and click tradition, you are going to deal with a lot of puzzles, some of which are truly moon logic-y. I'm not going to lie, there are certain things in this game that if you don't find them from a guide, you're basically going to trip over them by accident. That's pretty much how it's going to go. Some things in this are very obvious. Some endings are very easy to get. Others are going to just require you to bash your head against things for a long time until you figure something out. Whether it's, whether it's combining items with other items, combining items with the environment, talking to people in different ways, talking to people at right times, being in different places at the right time, things like that. Now, the idea behind this, I called it a causality loop game, which is pretentious speak for a time loop game. That's really what I should have called it. And what's happening is you wake up at the same time every day, and you have until 3 minutes to 8, at which point you get killed.
Good evening, sir.
There's also a robot here. So there's robots in this. There's all kinds of different people in this. This does take place in some far-flung future time, dystopian time, right? So I'm not going to do this too much. There is a narrator in this game too, who's quite good. Overall, the voice acting in this game as a whole, very well done. I actually really like it. The writing is also pretty solid. Now, I'm just showing you some of the environments here because there aren't that many, to be frank about it. You're going to go between only a handful of screens that interact with the same people a lot. And one of the major accomplishments that you'll get in this game is going to be going through different screens or reaching different screens that you typically can't reach. So you see we have an inventory up here. I don't want to spoil too much of this because everything here really is a spoiler in terms of determining an outcome, I guess you'd say. But you have all these inventory items. Now you might be saying, well, if you do a time loop, why do you have so much stuff? Aha. So one of the things the game does allow you to do is every time you fail a run, you can keep one of the items that you have in your inventory from that run, and it will be available to you in perpetuity. So the more times you fail, the more items you get to hang on to, and the less items you have to, the less time you will have to spend in future runs finding those items. And that's a very good thing, because if it made you go through the steps to get all the items all the time, it would be incredibly frustrating. Here's the narrator.
Someone is taking a shower. Yet you are sure you were alone when you left.
I could listen to that guy narrate an audiobook all day long.
You stay puzzled. The sound of the shower stops, and the bathroom door opens.
So, and here's another character you suddenly get exposed to.
Hello, sweetheart. Are you okay?
So again, I'm going to skip through some of the dialogue here because I don't want to spoil too much. So it's very trial and error, and this inventory thing is where the sort of roguelite element comes in, because you do get a little bit more every time from that, and you will learn some more as you go, and you have various notes. Now these notes do reset on every run, but they teach you different things that you can figure out, and you're gonna have to do a bunch of different things to try to achieve different outcomes. You can actually have the same outcome trigger multiple times by doing the same things, but your real aim here is to figure out what to do in terms of affecting different outcomes. And the game ultimately, yeah, that's a thing.
Thunderous explosion.
So ultimately the game really is over, as in you've completed it, when you have seen every ending. And the endings vary wildly. Some of them are quite simple. Some of them are kind of like, what the heck kind of endings. Ultimately, it's ended when you've seen them all. But at the same time, this is kind of a choose your own adventure type deal, right? Like, I like this guy, the crazy like robot who's like tripped out on something. I like Isaac. But, you know, at the end of the day, this is a choose your own adventure type game. So in reality, it's over when you feel it's over. When you feel that you've hit the ending that makes the most sense or is the most desirable to you, that can be when the game is over. Or you can grind out everything. But if you're going to grind out everything, you have to pay incredible attention, and you do have to have a lot of luck. I'm not going to lie. There is a lot of situations in this game where if you don't make, you know, the lucky choice at the right time, or, you know, you don't happen to click on the random couple of things that you likely would have never thought of, you're not going to get all the endings. So you're either going to have the patience for that, or, you know, either be willing to use a guide or just get a couple of endings and be cool with that. This maintains a lot of the things about old school point and click games that people who deride that genre will say makes it unattractive to them. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I still like point and click games, even though I'm not good enough at them. And it's I'm kind of a sadist in that I play these games that drive me insane. Also, you can see this, if you hold down the control key, it does do the thing where it highlights all interactable objects. Not every even modern adventure game does this, and they really already should. They really all should, I'm saying. So, yeah, I think if you're willing to work within those limitations, it can be very interesting. The developer also has taken some community feedback in, because at time of recording, this game does have mixed reviews on Steam. And he's actually taken in some feedback that I can already tell you has made this much more enjoyable to play. Dialogue, when you were talking to people, used to type out the way it does in a lot of RPGs. He's taken that away and made it just fade in. He's allowed you to skip repeat dialogues a lot more easily. He's allowed you, if you're playing with a mouse, to hold the button down and keep your character running. Where originally, when it was with a mouse, you had to keep clicking on the ground to keep your character moving, which was really annoying. You don't have to do that anymore. You know, a number of nice little improvements, and he is listening and taking feedback to heart. He doesn't agree with all of it, and he details out, I think, very well what feedback he hasn't agreed with and why. but a lot of it he has agreed with. And even some of the ones he hasn't, he's like, okay, I get it. If you guys want this, that's okay. We'll do, you know, I'll do that for you.
I don't want to move it. No.
So that's pretty interesting. And I do really like this concept. It's doing something different with the adventure game genre, which, you know, it's a genre that's become a lot more niche. And you see I randomly died because it's 3 minutes to 8.
At 7:57 p.m., you got electrocuted. The deadly bolt came from the electric floor heating. It seems some water leakage must have touched the wiring, and that was the end of you.
And again, this all may seem rather contrived.
You hoped to die in 2079,
but
you can't do much.
there's a reason for all of this. And without spoiling anything, again, this game gets very meta in some ways that I think once you get to the point where this stuff starts to come together, you're going to be like, oh, I see. And you're either going to like where it goes or you're going to think it's really dumb. I like where it goes myself. I think it's kind of cool, but it's going to be up to you. And this game is definitely not for everyone. It's not designed to be for everyone. I think the developer has made it somewhat clear that, you know, he knows he's making something different and weird and arty for people who want that. And I'm glad things like this exist. I'm glad to see someone take a genre and kind of bend and twist it into this weird form that still seems very familiar to people who know it, but has this new concept. I think what people who dislike this will probably dislike is the fact that there aren't many environments. There is a lot of repeating dialogue. There's a lot of moon logic. He hasn't streamlined that at all. And I think once you start to unlock some of the more meta storylines in this, like I said, you're either going to think it's really cool and clever or really kind of dumb. And I think you're valid to think either way on that. I think it's cool. And if I bought this, I'd probably poke away at it. I don't think I'd play it in large amounts. I actually have played this for multiple hours at a time, and the repetitiveness did grind on me after a while, and I was like, oh, okay, I think I'm done with this now. But then the next day, I was sitting around and going, you know what? That game was cool, man. I want to do some more of that. You know, I got to see where this goes. And I think that's this game's, that's the greatest compliment I can give to this game, is that it hooked me that way. It made me go, yeah, I want to see where this goes. This game is weird and strange, and yes, it's frustrating, but it keeps drawing me back in because I want to see how everything's going to end up. And I think that's a great compliment to it. But I do want you guys to, I did want you guys to see it for yourself. And I know in terms of showing off the gameplay of this probably hasn't been a great video because I'm being purposely very elusive and not forthcoming with a lot of information. And that's because this game is all about the reveals, and you've got to try it for yourself. And that's the only way you're going to really know if you like it or not. Steam has the 2-hour refund window. There was a demo for this. I'm not sure if there still is. If there is, it'll be in the title there that I put up where I show the developer and the price and stuff. I don't know. So if there is a demo for this, you can go try that. If not, you do have the Steam 2-hour refund window, which gives you a lot of opportunity to tell if you're going to like this or not. But it's nice to see somebody else do something with a very old genre that has a lot of fairly standardized tropes in it, and to turn a lot of those tropes on their ear. I think that's very cool and very valuable. And yeah, I like this. If you don't hate point and click games in general, I think you should give it a try and see what you think for yourself. Don't trust my kind of vague impressions here of it. Give it a try for yourself. But if you're not big on point and click games, I mean, this is different. There's no doubt about that. But everything, if you don't like point and click games, this is still going to have everything you don't like about them in it. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, that is 3 minutes to 8. It is out now. It is very interesting and very different and not for everybody, but sometimes those are some of the most interesting things I tend to get the chance to cover on this channel. I enjoy that. And I think there's something to this, and the group of people who will like this will really like it. And I wanted to give you a chance to decide if you're one of those people. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. I do appreciate it. If you like what you saw here, please do all the normal YouTube things. Those really do help the channel out a great deal. Leave a comment down below. Tell me, what do you think of this? You know, are you an old school adventure game player that is interested in this thing, in the different things that this is doing? Are you not into adventure games, but kind of like the premise of this and the meta storytelling it does? Is that enough to make you try it? Or are there other games like this? Let me know what your favorite time loop games are. There's been some cool ones the last few years. I'd like to know what you guys think about it. And you can also follow me over at twitch.tv/pxabstraction for multiple variety streams a week. I'm actually going to be doing a lot more retro over there for a while, but we do some indies there too. We have a great little community there, and I'd love to see you be a part of it. Thanks again, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. You folks have yourselves a good one. Take her easy.